What is up, NRW peeps? It is your boy Glenn Lawrence, and I am back, and we are doing another review. This time we are checking out Blue Bayou. Before we get started, let's throw it to the trailer so you know exactly what we're talking about right here.
I'm not leaving my family.
What time is it?
It's early. I got Jessie fed. I'll get her to school.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Antonio LeBlanc. How you get a last name like that? I was adopted. Is that what you wearing today?
Yeah, why?
Oh, nothing. It's a good choice. Come on, let's go.
Infantation, the mirrors lie to us, they plan to see.
Where you from? I'm from about an hour north of Baton Rouge.
One by one, we build an empire.
Where you from? Like, born? I was born in Korea.
Where devils roam and breathe.
I got this baby on the way, and I'm just looking for another job.
Kathy? Hey, where you going? Where you going, baby? Hey, listen, are you okay?
Let's go.
Hey, did I say you can leave? Stop. I'm gonna tell you one last time. Okay, that's it. Put your hands down.
Let him go! Do something!
I posted bail. He should have been out by now.
He's not here anymore. ICE took him.
What? I just don't understand how they can deport him.
I was brought here when I was 3.
Can't we do something about this? I mean, listen to him. Look at him. He's American.
ICE is targeting people like you, adopted or not.
I've been here for over 30 years.
You also have a criminal record.
Oh, Lord. What are you here for, bro? Come on, what you here for?
Nah, I usually charge $5,000 to start.
Are you getting kicked out?
Nah, baby girl. I ain't going nowhere.
Yo, Antonio, you know the drill, bro. Go.
You know I'd go to the moon with you, right? I ain't scared.
You can depart voluntarily, or you can stay and appeal. But if the judge don't rule in your favor, you can never come back.
I'm not leaving my family.
Boom, there you go. The trailer for Blue Bayou right there. And now I want to bring in 2 more people from the NRW universe. I got my boy Kuya P. What's up, Kuya P?
What's good, man? Happy to be here with the homies, NRW in full effect. Glenn Lawrence, Blurred Dad, Mr. Yoshiko Ramadita. Super excited.
There you go. And as Kuya P said, we got Rob Medina in the building too. Mr. You're so cool himself. What's going on, Rob?
I'm just happy to be here, man, to talk about a really good film. So let's just get right into it, fellas.
Yeah. And the film he is talking about is Blue Bayou. A really, really great film. Outstanding, in my opinion. But I'm going to let Kuya P break it down a little bit. Take us through the story. And then, Rob, we'll come back around to you. Take us through the characters a little bit. And then we'll get into some thoughts on what we thought about this excellent film. So, Kuya P, take it away. Tell us a little bit about Blue Bayou.
All right. Amazing film. But I shouldn't say amazing because I shouldn't give it away until the review. So it's a film. And it's it's an American drama written and directed by my man, Justin Chon, who's just one of my favorites, man. He's an actor, director, YouTube personality. 2 of the films that he did that really blew me away were Gook and Miss Purple. Big fan of both films. Gook was my first introduction to his work, and really with everything that he does and touches, he's not only trying to entertain you, but he's trying to educate you and inspire you, and just brings up much needed subjects that need to be discussed, such as in Blue Bayou, where as you'll see, a lot of the film is about this film in particular about immigration and race relations and how we treat people from other countries. So kind of giving the story without, I'm gonna do my best not to spoil. We're in New Orleans, Louisiana. We see Justin Chon's character, who let me get his name for his character, Antonio. He is with Kathy, played by Alicia Vikander. Actually, I don't want to take away from Rob with the character, so I'll save some of the character stuff for him. But Antonio and Kathy, they have a young girl. They also have a baby on the way. Antonio is just trying to maintain and take care of his family, which any man who's in that situation wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Is to support the people that we love. Come to find out that Kathy has a child from a previous relationship, that Antonio is now kind of the stepfather. And see, we see the dynamic between a man and who's also now a stepfather and has a baby on the way. How does he provide? He works at a tattoo parlor where he tries to get an advance to assist with that. Things don't work out right. So a lot of the film is just kind of that journey of trying to take care of others. And that's intertwined with a backstory that we learn about how Antonio came to the U.S. And his relationship with his birth parent and what they gave up for him to come. And then another interesting aspect of it is his immigrant story, where he was adopted and has a step family, and how he actually doesn't really interact with them, but how he also doesn't want to interact with them, and how that ties into how I'm trying not to spoil. There's a situation that occurs where he may be deported back to the US. Back to his home country. And so he has to get relatives to kind of speak on his behalf. And so that kind of puts him into play, his immigrant parents, his adopted parents and others that he has interfaced with. This film just hits on so many levels. Again, like I said, from his past work, he really has a story to tell that is on important social issues. We've seen what's been happening at the border with so many immigrants trying to come up to escape the horrors that they are experiencing in their home countries, and to see that we've had people in our own country that have been here for years, went through proper channels and steps, but through faulty of paperwork and just our American government, let's be honest, certain people are now getting sent back, even though they've been here for years. And that's kind of reflective. Well, that is very reflective in what is happening with Antonio's character throughout this film, Blue Bayou. There's a lot of significance in the term Blue Bayou, which is a very important song a song that I've known for a long time. I'm now thinking of that song differently, which is now the namesake for this film. It ties to his origins, but I don't want to spoil that in that regard. But just an amazing body of work. Justin Chon just delivers all throughout. It's going to make you want to bring the tissues, y'all. I didn't have it at the ready, so I was wiping it all over my shirt. I was crying, y'all. It hit me hard, man. There's just a lot of moments that I relate as an immigrant myself, having immigrant family members that came over to this country for a better life, and as a father, and my own relationships with my father in different ways, and imperialism and colonialism that has influenced us as immigrants and Americans and all that. It's an amazing, important film that I'll break down a little bit my thoughts when we get to the review aspects. But for story wise, again, it's Antonio and Kathy. They have a child that's on the way. An event happens that creates the possibility of deportation out of the U.S. for his character, and what are the ramifications of that, and the stories that all interconnect with that. So there you go on the story. I'm doing my best not to spoil, because I know a lot of people are gonna. I think it's important that I don't, because the story will really hit you more when you watch it. But it's so amazing, and I hope I gave you a non-spoiler review there. Let me toss it over to my brother from another mother, Mr. Rob Medina, breaking down the characters. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, well, so you've already covered actually two of the main characters, as you already mentioned before. We've got Justin Chon, who wrote and directed the film, who plays Antonio LeBlanc. Pretty much covered his story for the most part. And we also have Alicia Vikander, who, Alicia, who plays the wife in this movie, Kathy. She's an actress I was already familiar with here, and she's Swedish. And I've seen her play roles where she has an English accent and a Swedish accent, Russian accent, or German accent. But this is actually the first time where I'm hearing her play a Southern character, and a really convincing one, because I'm familiar with the Cajun accent, at least from that part of the area, because I have come across a few people that are from that part of the region. And to me, from what I can recall, it's a pretty authentic accent that she pulled off. But man, does she kill in this role, because as we will get into, you'll understand where we're coming from. But then we also have another actor by the name of Mark O'Brien, who is playing the biological father of their daughter, or at least in this case, Antonio's stepdaughter, Kathy's real daughter, who plays the character of Ace. He was a unique character, because I was mixed about him, and then I know we won't get into spoilers, but there's definitely a character arc with that particular storyline. And then we also have the wonderful actress who I was not familiar with prior to this film. Her name is Lynn Dan Pham, who plays the character of Parker, where we get to learn about her story as well too, especially with how she first got into this country, and then how her story starts evolving throughout this, and how it's connected with Antonio's character. And then we also have the young girl who plays their daughter, Jessie, Sydney Kowalski, I think is how you pronounce her name. Yeah, so we'll get into it with her, because there's a lot that I got to say about her performance. But we also have an actor who I am very familiar with, but I never remembered his name. His name is Vandy Curtis Hall, who is actually the immigration lawyer that is helping Antonio and Kathy with their case. This is a guy that I give a lot of respect for, because I forget how many films I've seen him in, but every movie that have come across with him in, or even TV show, this guy always gives a memorable performance. And even though he doesn't do a whole lot in this movie, but something about his involvement with this storyline really kind of helped push the reality of what it's like in those situations. I've know a few people in those situations, and I understand how stressful that can be, especially when you're a lawyer having to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few other characters too, who unfortunately I don't have all of them off the top of my head here, but there's. So I'm not sure. Is it a good time for us to start to share our thoughts in the film, because we've already covered the core aspects of the character that we want to get into here.
All right, let's break into it.
Before we get into the review, though, I want to point out the one big thing though with Alicia Vikander. You know her as Tomb Raider. That was like one of her biggest roles. She in the remake of that film, as well as Ex Machina. That's right. Yeah. But I think Tomb Raider is kind of like where she kind of like had her big lead out there role as a star,
and an Oscar winner too.
Amazing. And like you said, Rob, she can switch up on the accents. So she's a star. She's gonna definitely be a even bigger star as she continues on this path. And if she chooses amazing films like this, most definitely. So let's get into this review, y'all. Glenn, throw it back to you, man. What were your thoughts coming on this film, man? And what were the moments that hit you?
So this film, definitely from the jump, you get like kind of a gritty feeling. You get a really kind of close, like it feels very intimate. The way that it's shot, the way that the camera moves, the way that it's presented. It's kind of in your face. A lot of films are kind of like letterbox or whatever. This one was like full screen, so you really feel immersed in the story. You don't feel like you're watching a movie. You feel like you're immersed in people's lives. And that was the first thing that I was taken aback by. I really thought that the interplay between Justin Chung's character Antonio and his stepdaughter, it was great. Like from the very beginning, you guys were sending me messages like, "Yo, from the very beginning, I'm really sad," and I could see it because their connection was really, really strong in there. And I was like, "Wow, that's a really great, child actress to be able to evoke that type of emotion and them playing back and forth."
Shout out to Sydney Kowalski, man.
Yes, wow. Shout out to she really arrived, man. They should say something about her performance in this. If nobody does, we will, because she did a great job. And like she makes you feel in this film. You're just like you feel that innocence, you feel that sweetness, but you also feel like a little toughness from her, like a world that's kind of tough around her. And then you feel her father in Antonio trying to, or her stepfather trying to be that person for him. Obviously, things don't go right in his life. You kind of start, you see that a little bit later in the film, some reasons why his life might not have turned out the way that we wanted to. But I really liked I really liked how it kind of unfolded. You know what I mean? Like you get that sweet little interaction between the stepfather and the stepdaughter. And then as we're peeling the layers back, you get to meet the wife, and then you get to see his situation, his coworkers or whatever. And I thought it was a marvelous feat in storytelling to kind of peel that onion back. And then we get to the climax, which is, you know, heart wrenching and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it was just it was great. There were some really good things in there that I really liked. You know, there was also some things that I think we need to talk about: police brutality, how much control cops can have over us.
Let's talk on it. Let's talk about those moments, man. Let's go ahead. We're digging in right now.
Yeah, so I mean, not to you know spoil things, but you know the cops go in and they kind of like harass, you know, people or whatever, and we get to see just from the jump they're just in a supermarket shopping, doing nothing, actually trying to mind their business, and then you know they get kind of interrupted by overzealous cops, which lead them into you know this
escalating situation.
Escalates the situation and really kind of throws a monkey wrench in her life. And that just really hit me, because I'm just like, man, you could be going along, right? Like I'm just working every day trying to stack my little bit of paper so I could, you know, move to a new place and do something with my family and make things better. And then you have this one situation that wasn't even your kind of making, and all of a sudden you're thrust into you know, this court system and the system that kind of just chews you up and doesn't really care. You're kind of just like a number. You're just kind of a, you know, you're a card, you know what I mean? You're a file that they got to get through. And it kind of sucks because there's other people, you know, on the other side of that. That was like really, that was the part that was really gut wrenching for me. You know what I'm saying? To see that, because I know that type of struggle. I know people who have been in that before, where it's like, you know, you're hanging on by a thread, and then any little inconvenience can like push you over and just like fuck, you know, mess up your whole world. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool. But for my thoughts, I just thought it was a great piece of storytelling. It really peeled back the onion on this family. It was great. Obviously, there's some things that made me very upset, you know, like with the cop and everything. But all in all, this movie just it really it's emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's fun. You'll laugh a little bit, you'll cry a little bit, get angry, get, you know, and then hopefully at the end of the day you'll feel a little bit empowered or whatever. So yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on it. What about you all? What about your thoughts,
Rob? Yeah, I would definitely want to delve into about the police brutality aspect, but I'm going to just start off by saying this here. So like the first 3 minutes of the movie, I already started crying because, and I messaged you all in the chat room about like how I was just bawling because what really got me was the relationship that you saw between the Antonio and Jesse, where he was asking her, "Hey, did you really mean what you said, that, you know, that I'm your daddy?" And I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like that. That's something that, you know, I have. Yeah, I'm gonna start breaking down right now.
It's all good, brother. You're in a safe space, man.
Yeah, I know, I'm fine. So
I felt it too.
Yeah. So like when I heard her say that, I remember what was it? There was a time in my life when I was talking to my kid, and not that we had a breakdown or anything like that. There wasn't nothing like that, but I remember distinctly thinking that I wanted my son to like look at me as a father, like he was going to be the very comfortable, very confident that he can trust me with anything. And so when you earn that from the child at a very young age, it's like, to me, it means the entire, like that's everything for me. Like I invest so much time to develop that relationship. And even to this day, like I literally asked him earlier today, and this is no joke, this is not planned by any means, but I asked him earlier today, like, "Hey, are you happy?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" And I was like, because I just want to know if you're happy, because, you know, I can see your personality. I can see how good you're doing. And I can see how you know, how healthy you are, but I can't always read your mind. So it's important for me to ask it, because I got to know, and it gives me, it lets me know how you're doing. And that's more important for me. He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing good." And what really got me, I didn't do this in front of him, but he was like, "Yeah, thanks for asking." He walked away, and I was like, fuck, man, really struck a chord with me. So when he said, Antonio was like, did you really mean that? I was like, man, I can't. This is gonna be
dude.
Really
you're fucking me up right now. I think I want to cry, bro. Like, what you just said, man.
Yeah,
because me and my daughter's been going through it right now because she's a teen, and like whenever I get home, I'm like, hey, Madison, how are you doing? And she just doesn't share anything. It's like stone cold. And so now you got me wanting to like go upstairs and be like, Madison, are you happy? Like, I felt that in my soul just now, bro. Like, so real talk, bro. Real talk.
It's like, it's that was like, that hooked me in. But it's not like it wasn't, I felt like it was done very organically where you really get the impact of like where the relationship was, and you don't question it because you're seeing that relationship evolve as it continues. And obviously they go through the hurdles. So yeah, I mean, I was already like tearing up because of that, because that's something that I cherish very much with like parents having a really strong relationship with a child, and a very good one where the child doesn't question them. I'm not saying question as in like they don't challenge it, but they don't question the love for that the parents have for them, because they know they come from a very good spot. And like that means the world to me. Like that's something that I'm going to say anyways, but I didn't really have that very much with my parents, and that meant everything for me to have with my own son. So to see that, I was like, man, that's something that, if you can establish that with your child, I mean, the world, the opportunities are like endless about what you can do to develop trust and how to, I mean, I'm telling people don't really understand like how important it is to have trust with your children, because if they can't talk to you about anything, then there's something wrong with you that's starting that divide with your children in the first place. So like I learned that very early on at an early age. So when I saw that, I was like tearing up, because like I was like, I know exactly what that feels like. And it took me to a very emotional part of my life. But anyways, so moving forward with the remaining parts of the story.
Before you go on, because also I have like, I was just dealing with that with my son. Like I'm looking at him and he's like a little baby, and I'm like, how do I, like, you know what I mean? Like I just hope whatever I'm doing now is instilling that, like, trust or whatever. So yeah, we could all, I just wanted to jump in because y'all are giving the father moments. And I was like, I want a father moment. I'm a father too. I felt it.
Trust me, they'll come, man.
You're going to feel it as the more he gets older. It's gonna hit, man.
I'm sorry. So, anyways,
that's all cool, man. It's all good. But to kind of just because I know we're gonna go a little further with the story, but that police brutality aspect of it, where you have two ignorant cops, one of them absolutely racist, the other one's definitely prejudiced, and that bothered me a lot, because like the problem that I had with it is the fact that they clearly abused the power, but what was even worse is that they had full intention on, well, at least one of them had full intention on ruin someone's life when it had nothing to do with them. So they went out of their way to just cause destruction. And then for what? I'm not sure. I think we're not going to get into spoilers here, but like, I mean, that really pissed me off about that guy, because it's like, you're such a fucking, I mean, I'm talking about the character. You're such a fucking loser that you have to go out of your way to ruin someone else's life because your own fucking life is shitty. Like that's how how much disdain I had towards that guy. And I'm like, the unfortunate thing is that there are people that are like that to this very day. Some in the police force too. I've seen that to an extent, but it's like, if you're such a shitty person, you have to go out of here to ruin someone's life to the point where they're on the verge of, being separated by their families. Man, fuck you, asshole. You get what you deserve. I'm not a person who believes in the afterlife, but if there is a hell, I hope that guy burns over and over and over again. Like that's how much disdain I have towards that character. But yeah, man, like I despise that part of despise it in a person who goes out of way to do that to them. And it's unfortunate too, because it's a good story. I mean, it's a good person that he's doing it to. I mean, when you really spend the time with the kid, what you do in the film, this guy is awesome. This guy is like what a real man should be. And, it didn't matter that he was an immigrant. He's a good person. And, and some guy who's just looking at a skin color and his ethnicity just thought that guy was beneath him. And I guarantee that person was 10 times better in every single area where he succeeds. but this guy was just able to take control of a situation where he was in a position of power and just want to abuse it because he's a bully. So fuck him is the way I saw it. So that's where my rant is right now. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, it was, yeah, man. I totally get what you're saying there. Although he wasn't all good, because whenever but I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, kids hungry, need to put food on the table. It's like, man, I got a hoodie and ski mask it up, even though that's not what, what I mean. He had to go and
I know people
thing to put food on the table or
been in those situations, and I may not have agreed with their approach, but I get it. I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to hold them against that. The system will, but I won't because they're not. I guess it depends on who you ask, but yeah, man, I don't fault him for doing that because I understand the circumstances, but it's like I want to say it's a very gray area. Are you really going to judge him based off of that? But meanwhile, the cop is like, oh, hey, I'm the man of the law. Man, fuck you. Just because you have a gun and a badge doesn't mean shit. It just means that you're just able to abuse the power because you're too much of a pussy to do that in real life on your own. So fuck him. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, but I think that's the great thing about this film is how layered it is. You know what I'm saying? There is that aspect of like, he has had a terrible, life and upbringing. You see all these things, but he also does things that may not be right, you know what I'm saying, or legal or whatever, but you see the reasons why he does them. It's not like nefarious, where this other person has all the power and everything and he's doing things nefariously, whereas this other person who doesn't is just trying to get by, and then he does something that's quote unquote wrong, but he's not doing things nefariously. He's trying to keep his family together, really.
It shows the breakdown of society. You know what I'm saying? The man attempted so many times to get a job, but society kept on saying him no because you have this in your past, he tried to get advances, he tried in every way, so you can understand how it breaks down for people of color, for people that have quote unquote records, but you can also see how racism plays into that, where you can have a record not by just existing, which we all know as people of color. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Getting jailed for absolutely doing nothing, but yet because you have that mark,
it's there.
It's there. So it just it shows a breakdown of society and culture and the importance in trying to solve it. And like I said, so many layers with racism, immigration. I know we're doing our best to avoid spoiling, so I'm gonna keep on that. I know because we want everybody to see this and get the full experience. So what I would like to bring up as we're breaking down our thoughts and reviews is the big message that I hope comes up out of this film is the conversation about, and it's illustrated in the end credits. There's people that have been here, that have immigrated and come over here by various means, but and did proper paperwork to some extent. Some did, and some didn't do paperwork, but have lived here and paid taxes and been here for the majority of their lives, and are now being sent after living here for 20 plus years in some instances. What are your thoughts on that and this film starting that conversation? Because I think it's one of the ugliest things about America right now, that is happening as we speak, that people are being pushed out, shipped out because of paperwork, even though they've been here for centuries or years, decades. And even now with Glenn and I produce a program called Wartime Allies, and talking about how we have wartime allies when we're in periods of war. There's Afghanistan, people coming over from Afghanistan right now, and are in different camps, as it were, and are now seeking asylum here in the U.S. I think they're pushing them to Guam, but the whole immigration issue. Virginia. Let's talk on that, man. What do you all think about how, like, people that have been existing here for years and are now being sent back where they have no connection? Antonio's character has no connection to his homeland, and he suffers. Well, he's going to encounter this whole possible deportation throughout this film. What do y'all think about that, and the stories that are going to bring up, and the importance of the message within this film?
Well, it's interesting because this film, when I started watching it, I realized that I had read a Washington Post or New York Times or there's a certain publication. I can't remember which one it was exactly, which newspaper it was, but they were running a story that was talking about this. Like, a man gets deported, after 39 years of living in the United States, gets deported back to a country that he's never known. And it's is wild, and basically it kind of breaks down just like Antonio's story. He was adopted, been here for 30 something years. The adoptive parents, it's no fault of his own. Adoptive parents didn't file the paperwork to get him into citizenship. And then of course, the problem is, like you were saying, like just by being a person of color, a lot of times you'll catch a charge for something. And it's like, well, you have a charge, so now we're not going to allow you to retro this paperwork or whatever, which is kind of messed up. And it's just kind of like a sad situation. But yeah, I remember reading that and I was just like, man, that's like messed up that somebody could be caught up in like this type of situation and not really have any recourse. You know what I'm saying? It's a terrible I guess loophole in the system. And hopefully one that, people will start talking about. I don't know, Rob, what about you? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that it's the biggest problem that I have with the system is that that because there's so many flaws and there's so many loopholes, that the people that are in charge of it doesn't, here's the thing. I don't think it really, it does to an extent, but for me, it's really about the background, about the person's values that are instilled into them or what they've been indoctrinated with. So you could be, because I've met Hispanics who are just as conservative and just as racist, and have the same conservative values that we would all mostly associate with white folks, but they carry that themselves as well too. Some who have left the respective countries to come over here for a better life, and then they've achieved those goals and have gotten the things they've always wanted, and then they're now on the same path or boat as the other people who have this mindset of, well, we went through the system properly, so therefore you shouldn't. If you cross a border, then you got to go back. Or if you went through the system and didn't put in some paperwork correctly, then that's on you. So you should be leaving too, because this country is about giving opportunities to people who work hard. But those people work just as hard, if not harder, to maintain to keep themselves in this country. But due to unfortunate circumstances, some things didn't work out for them. And I think that's where we should, as a society, in my opinion, we should help them out. We really should, because it is a case by case scenario, and it does take a long time. And I get that, but the people that are behind that, only a handful of them are willing to stick their neck out and try to do the best they can to try to help these people out. But there are some people who are just like, well, that's just the way the system is, because it doesn't affect them. So they have no stakes in the matter. But I guarantee if it's like their mom and dad or whoever they love and cherish so much, if they're in a situation where they're in the exact same spot as those other people who they're having to make these decisions over, they're going to think twice about making an exception to the rules if it affects them directly. That's how I believe it to be. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, it doesn't make a difference to me. It's those thoughts apply everywhere. And there are some people who are in those positions that take advantage of that. And, they give this perception about this is how this country should be. But fuck you. Who says that this is the way the country should be? The country should be about helping other people out, because that's what America is all about. We'll help them out. No, because they're not citizens. They're illegal. Because why? Because, their countries weren't taking care of them. Yeah. So they should just go back and go. So imagine how you would feel in that situation, having to go back to something that you have no connection with and know that might be potential danger. And you have to readjust all over again from scratch. Imagine how you would feel. Well, I'm not in a situation, so it's not my problem. That's the problem that I have with this bill, with people who are in those positions. They don't care because it doesn't affect them. But when it does, guarantee be the first ones to be crying, please help me, please help me. They'll be the first people to cry. So this movie to me showed me the flaws in the system, and it brings up why, the most likely you'll make better friends are the people that don't have those positions and that understand the most. They're deep. They're right on the grounds, if you will. They're not the guys who are at the very top. They understand because they're with them every day. They understand that it's not person's ethnicity, it's a person's set of values, a person's goodwill, if you will. It's all those good things that make a good person, and they see that, but that's not enough for you to stay in this country, and I wish it was, because there's a lot of assholes in this country that need to get the fuck out of here. If it was based on that system, I guarantee 90% of it would be gone, and we would probably be better off for that. That's the way I see it.
It's interesting though, because if you read up on a little bit of history of MS-13, like that's kind of how MS-13 began, because it was basically a lot of gangbangers from like Los Angeles. They're like, how are we going to deal with this problem? We're just going to deport them. So they sent them back to their country. They get off a bus where they have no connection, and basically there's no government or anything down there, and they just start fucking like banding together and running things, and fucking this entire excuse my language, I don't know if we're cussing on this, but
I did.
this entire gang was started down there, but it started from that deportation to a country that you don't have any connection.
Well, MS started here. MS-13 started here.
But they deported them to the country, and then they coalesced. So it was like kind of like a local thing, you know what I mean? Like when it was here, but then when they deported them there, they banded together, you know what I'm saying? And then it really got solidified in that country. And then they were coming back, because they were actually from here, but they got sent down there. So that was a really interesting read when I did like a little bit of history, but it just reminds me of this with that whole deportation thing. There's so many other offshoots and unintended consequences when you have a policy or you have policies like this, or you enact policies that don't take certain things into account. And this is just another one. This isn't going to end up like what I was talking about there, but a family is hurt. You know what I mean? How does that kid grow up? How does his unborn child grow up? You know what I mean? How does he handle things going on? It's just, there's just a lot that that comes from that. And hopefully this movie will spark conversation, kind of like we're having now, man. What about you, Kuya P? Where your thoughts lie?
Yeah. So I want to echo both your points leading into my commentary. So as you said, Rob, we have our own, it sometimes be your own people once they get here and they get assimilated into the culture, and they kind of then put that Western mindset for themselves, and we need to spark that conversation to have that made. And then to your point, Rob, we deport him, and then we're just continuing on the problem without facing the problem. So I want to challenge you both and challenge everybody that's watching this, because I think, as we all see, the system is broken, and we're not solving these problems. We're only creating further problems. I challenge you to show this film and to people that that have that mindset and that are stuck in those ways, because I think that's the importance of the film medium, the television medium. Why both myself and Glenn got into entertainment as filmmakers, is to change minds. Well, we want to entertain, but I think a thing that brings me and Glenn together is we also want to educate and inspire. And I know with you as a film fan, Rob, and then I know you're dabbling in some filmmaking yourself with your son, is to just, we all have a story to tell and we have a message, but I challenge you, and I applaud. Well, first off, let me applaud Justin Chan again, like I said, with Gook and with Miss Purple, and now with this work. It is now providing a way to spark conversations, and I really hope the conversation begins even further with Blue Bayou, because we need to stop being Team America World Police. As much as I know a lot of people didn't want to pull out of Afghanistan, and now we have that issue still surrounding from that. We have a lot of problems here at home that we have yet to solve, but yet we keep pushing the problem elsewhere and not solving what's the problem here. I know I'm going off on different tangents right now, but I just think it's so important because this is, again, how can you live here for over 30 years to your point, Rob, and just many stories. And they illustrate that to a degree, like I said, in the end credits of various people that have lived here for years, decades, and then now are going to a place that they don't even know. That is an absolute nightmare. And for the families and relatives that they have here to be ripped away from them, mothers, fathers, children, man, it's absolutely heartbreaking, and it's the most evil I think anybody could be. So it just rips at my soul, and I hope that this message starts that conversation. And I challenge you all that are watching this, and to my brothers right now, to talk to those family members that won't listen to the message themselves, but if you kind of like creep this up, you push play, you find this film, if you can't get them out to the theater, but if this is streaming somewhere, if this comes on TV, if you can make them sit down and watch this and just see if that at least sparks some kind of conversation or challenges their mindset, because I think if you're a father, you can relate to Justin Chon's character. Anybody that's a parent can relate to John's character. You don't have to be a father; you could be a mother. So if you're a caretaker of somebody, if you're an immigrant, you can relate to this story. I think anybody can relate to this character, this story, and I think it handles it so amazingly well. And I hope that just starts. I know for myself to just open the door a little bit on myself, man. My father and I are two different people. He's a white man. My mother's Panay. Y'all know I'm a mixed kid. He's gone both ways, but he's for the most part been Republican and conservative his whole life. And with the Trump administration, we really locked, we butted heads quite a bit, and we still are butting heads. I love him, but it's a difficult love. And I'm going to play this film for him and see if his mindset changes. I don't have any hopes, to be honest with you. But we'll see, you know what I'm saying? Cause I think it's an important film and the conversation needs to start. And I know I'm going to start it right now with myself. So I challenge you all and everybody watching this to begin these conversations, because I want a better world for my daughter. I know you're trying for a better world for your son, Rob, and then you as a new dad, Glenn. I know you want a better world for your child. So let's continue to start the conversations. So let me get off my soapbox, but I fucking absolutely love this film. I think it's so powerful. Justin Chon deserves all the awards. This and another film we reviewed earlier this year, 9 Days, to me are in my top 5 of films this year. What say you, gentlemen? Is this up there with some of the past films you've seen this year?
Yeah, easily in my top 5. This is actually like a surprisingly good movie. I think that when you to kind of just pick it off real quick, the fact that they're pointing out something that's flawed in humanity, that's the most important thing. And to be able to share that, because we can't have these conversations with everybody, but you have this platform to share these stories, and I hope with the word of mouth and bringing more awareness that it would get more people to find a way to weave this film into a person who may not consider checking these movies out, and then apply something to them like, hey, listen, you should check out this actor, he's really good, or whatever the case may be, to kind of get them invested. And then from there, hopefully it'll take off. So there's ways to go around it here too. But again, it's just about how people view things. If people get judgmental just like that without ever getting to know something. So I hope that this movie does have the opportunity to reach out to people that will take the time to check the movie out, give it the time of the day, and then walk away with either the same set of values if you walked in before, or hopefully something much different, and then question their moral the morals that they carried, and see how they fit these set of values, that they look out for your neighbor. But if your neighbor is an illegal immigrant, would you still want to help them? Yeah, sure, why not? Because they're just as good as you are, just because they're not citizens or not right. They don't have the proper paperwork to be here, but they deserve just as much respect as you deserve. So why would you look at them any different because of their status? So Yeah, there's a lot that I've taken away from this because a lot of it I do understand. Believe me, there's a lot that I'm purposely leaving out that I completely get what's going on, and to experience some of that, close to home, because there are people that I know that are in a similar situation. I understand what that looks like and how that feels, and to never hear from the person you had become acquainted with again, it's kind of heartbreaking, man. And it is heartbreaking. So, yeah, guys, this is why I love movies. I think I was hinting at it before with you, Patrick, that this is why I love films, because this is a way to communicate with the world. And if you can share these type of stories, you probably won't get that from everybody, but there's always going to be that one person that's going to do the work, do their due diligence, and there are going to be other people who are just going to be just as invested to share the story. And this is what you get. So yeah, I'm all for this movie, 100% behind it.
Yeah, I really loved it, and just my final words on it are that I'm gonna try to get some people that I know to check it out as well. I liked it in terms of where it falls in the movies that I've seen this year. It is one of the top ones. I still love 9 Days, as you all know, but it is it's up there. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, when I first saw it, I don't know that it hit me as much, but after kind of revisiting it, hearing what you guys said, I'm like, dang, it does hit a lot deeper, especially, hearing you saying it's a door opener for you and your father, you know what I mean? And that fatherly bond that was in the film. I definitely think it can spark conversations, and I'm interested to see where those conversations go. I thought it was done really well. I just love the gritty, intimate feel of it. It just felt like you're kind of in somebody else's life, rooting for them, getting frustrated when, they make decisions that you wish they wouldn't make. And, you're just along for the roller coaster ride that is, these people's lives. And, bravo to Justin Chon, bravo to Alicia Vikander, the entire cast. I just thought it was a great movie. Bravo, and I definitely am going to be talking about it.
Hell yeah. Beauty. I didn't even touch on the filmmaking parts of it, but you did, Glenn. The grit, just the shot selection, different camera angles that they did, and the story elements, the importance of the song Blue Bayou, the title Blue Bayou. As a filmmaker, I hope filmmaking students take notes on this. Justin Chon put his foot in this thing and just made every character important. It was so beautifully cast, written, shot, edited. Again, to me, one of the best films of the year, and definitely award worthy. I'll be putting some votes down for this film where I can vote. Gentlemen, this was fun, man. I wouldn't say it's fun. It's a sad film, but it's an important film. It's a very impactful film, and it hit me hard, and I appreciate y'all joining me and checking this out. And no, y'all, we weren't paid by the studio or anything. This is real feelings that are coming out on this for you guys. So I hope y'all check it out, man, because it's an important film. Let's get up out of here, y'all, because this was a deep one, a hard one, probably one of our longest reviews, I think, looking at the time right now, because this film had a statement, and it certainly sat with us, and I'm happy to share this with my brothers, because we really connected on this at a very human level. That is amazing. And to your point, Rob, the beauty that films can do, is to help connect people. So, Rob, how can they reach out to you and let you know what they're doing and what you should check out with recommendations and all that? Because you're Rob Medina, but you're also still Rob the movie guy. We'll never forget that, because you love your movies, man.
Yeah. Well, you can follow me on my social media accounts on Instagram, Rob_Medina0585, Twitter, Rob Medina0585, Facebook, Rob Medina, and also check out my show's social media accounts, You're So Cool with Rob Medina on Instagram, and on Twitter, You're So Cool WRM.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Glenn, what's good?
Glenn Lawrence Comedy, Glenn Lawrence Laughs, as well as Level Up Comedy. Check those out on your IGs, your Facebook, and your Twitters. Also, the Blurred Dad Podcast is on Twitter now as well. Check me out there, man. And as always, you can check me out right here with the NRW crew, going over reviews, going over movies, going over pop culture stuff, getting you laced up in pop culture. That's what we do.
There you go. My brothers, Rob, Glenn, love you guys, man. Thank you for connecting on this human level with this film as fathers. Ugh, so good. Again, can't recommend this film enough. For me, your boy Kuyapi, hit me up, y'all. Twitter, I believe it's Temple Far East. IG, Strange Since 1977. Might have that mixed up. I don't know. I'm old. Over on TikTok, the legend Kuyapi. Over at the Nerds of Color on everything, where we give you pop culture from a POC perspective. My Show Pal Show, and that's at Show Pal Show on everything, where I give you Filipinx content because I'm so prideful in that regard. And of course, as my brother Rob said and Glenn said, here at the NRW or at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Everybody, I challenge y'all. Challenge your mindset. Challenge the way you're thinking. Open yourself up to this film. Connect on a human level, parent level, immigrant level. If you are a POC, whichever, man, our allies, all of this. See this film. Let's start the conversation because it's so important. Let's change the future, y'all. Blue Bayou. Rob, Glenn, your boy Kuyapi.
Deuces.